Worst case scenario, we'll go on the phone if you can't get it. All right? We'll just use the camera. All right. Today is the 7th of January, and happy Red Friday to all you Marines out there. So today I'm going to be able to have a candid conversation as we're having some technical difficulties on the other side, but we're going to improvise. So this broadcast is brought to you by LinkedIn Perspective and Facebook Perspective. And this is to be able to reach out to the masses for those who are in the veteran community, is to be able to educate and get people's point of view as well, and to share some insights of what's going on in today's society. Today, we're going to be able to have a, I got you on there, though. Don't worry, stand by. We'll just use a speaker if you can't do it. Today, we're going to have a special guest. His name is Major James Caper, retired USMC Recon and Raider, legacy of the original Raiders. They call him the legend of team building mindlessness, an original Marine from Montford Point Boot Camp. This is prior to the Paris Island days of racial integration. This pioneer of the Marine Special Operations, and he's one of the last of the original Raiders, has one time been actually served in Vietnam and received several battlefield commendations. This includes with on-field promotions and not as a commissioned officer, and the first African-American commissioned officer, United States Marine, as well as a company commander for the recon community back in Vietnam. He was commissioned. He was originally commissioned coming from Montford Point, one of the most last and outstanding Marines that we've been able to have, who has seen racism and has been able to live through the processes and see through his eyes of the development of the special operations and the Raider community with the recon community. And also, as a field grade officer, has been on several commercials for the Marine Corps as to sign up for the Marines. So therefore, we're going to be able to make sure that we have this opportunity to speak to him. This is his first time on social media, and we're going to be making sure while his party is working on getting a commission to be able to do that. But he's also supporting the MOSOC 3. And the MOSOC 3 is currently, if you haven't heard, I'm not going to intertwine, is a 3 special operations combat veterans. There are senior staff NCOs who are going up for a general court-martial sometime in this month of January 2022. So I don't want to intertwine with what's going on, but here's a process that we need to know. There's a lot of untold stories that hasn't been told, not only from this situation, but from the major situation. So for somebody that has been able to receive combat accolades for the most part, and more or less getting sorry about that, I'm getting disrupted. I got dogs on there. Hey, you two get over there and sorry about that. Especially special operator in the MOSOC community, we want to be able to share this. So if you like this content, share it, like it, tag it, and then more or less review it. So without further ado, while I have the Major on the phone, Major Capers, how are you doing today? Sir, how are you doing today? So apparently they're having difficulties, but can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
So it's a pleasure to meet you. So, sir, tell us a little bit about yourself while Negron is helping you out. If you can speak a little bit louder, we would appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Nice to talk to you.
Likewise, sir.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and why we're doing this.
Well, sir, I was in the Marine Corps myself, right? So I've been following you since I joined the Marine Corps. I started in the Marine Corps in 1977 to 1992. I started as an admin guy. Then I was stationed to Okinawa, Japan. Then I was assigned from there to the 3rd Marine Division as an admin guy. Then I got assigned to the HNS Battalion Alpha Company, and on a point in Okinawa, Japan. So this is my first experience being attached to a recon unit for the FMF days. So during that time, I learned during the FMF days that we did everything that the unit did. So First Sergeant Johnson back then in the day, who was my first sergeant as well, was saying that even though you're an admin guy, you're going to be doing everything that the unit does. So I learned a lot about that. During my time in the Marine Corps, I've been stationed in different places. I was in Okinawa from 78 to 81. And then I got stationed all around the United States. And then I got stationed in Quantico, Virginia. Then I re-enlisted. Then I joined. In my re-enlistment, I became a drill instructor. So I became a drill instructor from 1983 to 1987. And I pushed 8 cycles of a platoon. I was a drill instructor in 3rd Battalion, India Company. I pushed 8 cycles of privates. Then I became assigned to Special Weapons Battalion back then, that was called. Became a close combat instructor, water survival instructor, went to boot camp again. In Coronado, I was a water survival instructor for the boot camp. And with that being said, after my tour, got stationed in 29 Palms. I was a platoon sergeant for 5th Battalion, 11th Marines. And we went to Persian Gulf, Desert Storm, Persian Gulf. And after that time, I was getting out. So for me, transition was pretty tough. So from that point on, sir, I worked in the private sector and learned that we didn't have social media back then, and we didn't have a network of people that were able to more or less help us into how you call it. I see you both in there. All right, sir. I see you there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna shut off the phone. Okay. So anyway, sir, getting back to you, it's a pleasure seeing you, and you're a living legend. So I've admired you since I was a drill instructor. As a matter of fact, I saw one of your first commercials when I was back in Quantico in '81. So I was really surprised. So you're like the legendary David Goggins of the Marine Corps, you know, and I really admire that. So with that being said, my transition in the Marine Corps was not very well accepted. I was asked to leave. You know, I got my honorable discharge, but I found myself lost. So I got surrounded by Vietnam veterans and World War II veterans to be able to educate me on how to navigate through the civilian system. And I was able to do a lot of things and become who I am today. So therefore, for me, I asked him, what can I do to pay it back to them? And he says, pay it forward. So ever since then, for the last 18 years, sir, I've been a advocate for veterans' rights. And more or less, that's what I'm all about, you know? So just want to let you know that. So that's who I am, sir.
Okay, well, that's a very good definition of who you are. And I'm honored that you've taken the time to give me a call. I do appreciate it. And I respect you for whatever the things you've done for the Marine Corps and for this country. So
Thank you,
let's
sir.
get on with it. You ask me some questions and I'll give you as many answers as I can.
Well, so tell me a little about yourself, sir. What made you want to join the Marine Corps back in the day?
Well, what made you want to join the Marine Corps? That answer the same question you just asked me.
Well, it was a different time, sir. So, you know, you come from a different time that,
Well,
you know.
the Marine Corps has always been there, 246 years. Most of the people who joined back then, the same reason they joined today. Times have changed. But as an African American, there were times when people like me couldn't join the Marine Corps. Didn't allow African Americans in until 1942 and they were stationed together at Moffett Point here in Camp Lejeune. And 20,000 served up until 1949 when they closed down the Moffett Point. And those African Americans who fought in World War II, they went on to be trained at Parris Island. I came in, I was trained at Parris Island in the 50s, a few years after they closed down Moffett Point. So I guess I saw a lot of the legacy of the Marine Corps from my perspective as an African American. So you can ask me questions about that era or the time, the two wars I fought. So I know
I'd like to start with, sir, with all due respect, I'd like to talk about the comparison of Moffett Point and Parris Island. You've been to both locations.
Let me answer that for you. When I just told you that, on Parris Island in 1942, that was the first time African Americans were allowed to go to the Marine Corps boot camp. Now, the white Marines were allowed to come into the Marine Corps, a couple hundred years. They were allowed to come in 1946. But 246 years, but the African Americans were not allowed to come in for a lot of reasons, a lot of stupid things, about weren't smart enough and all that BS. But when the war hit, when Japanese, started World War II along with the Germans, then we figured out we don't need some manpower. So all this racial thing had to go aside. And the Marine Corps started allowing African Americans to come in 1942. There was 20,000 of them that was recruited. And they stayed in the Marine Corps off and on until 1949 when Moffett Point was closed. But up until that time, only the white Marines could go to Parris Island. But in 1949, they started sending black Marines to Parris Island. I went to Parris Island in the 50s after Moffett Point was closed. I knew a lot of those guys. They were my drill instructors. They were my friends. They were my examples. They were my heroes. But they never got the respect that they deserve. In recent years, they were given a Congressional Gold Medal for their services that nobody gave a damn about because they were black. They fought in the Pacific. They fought at Iwo Jima. They fought at Guadalcanal. But nobody cared until after the war. And then they were told that, you did a good job. The country knew they did a good job, but it wasn't said until they got the Congressional Gold Medal.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead.
So when did you get deployed to Vietnam, sir? When did that?
1966.
Where were you at in 1966 in your status in the Marine Corps, sir?
Well, you just asked me, when did I deploy? I just told you 1966. Then you asked me, when did I deploy? Let me tell you again. I was a sergeant, and I made staff sergeant, and then I deployed to Vietnam as a staff sergeant in 1966. In 1966, I got a battlefield commission. All the officers in my unit was killed. So I became a second lieutenant, and I had to take the company all the way. We fought together, and I was an officer at that time. I was not always an officer. I had 10 years in when I got commissioned. But I only got commissioned when the other guys were killed.
So when you were going through that, what was going through your mind when you were taking charge?
Oh, my God. What a dumb question. I was talking about being, surviving. I had a wife and a child. And I thought about coming home to my wife and child and doing the best I could in a war zone that nobody wanted us over there. But I survived. Thank God I survived. Lost a lot of good men along the way. Lost 37 men in one mission. Killed and over 200 wounded in Vietnam. Then when I came home, nobody said hello. Nobody said thanks for a good job. Hell, they pissed on us. They said nasty things to us when we come home. The ones of us that were lucky enough to come home. So what was going through my mind, I could tell you a lot of different things. But right about now, I'm an 84-year-old man. I'll be 85 this year. I've been shot, blown up, bayoneted. So what goes to my mind now, what the hell happened? I have 19 holes in my body. I had a heart attack. Both my arms were broken. Both my legs were broken. But I survived it. Well, mostly because God figured out that, well, he needs to bring me home. Wasn't all my doing. Are you a religious man, son?
Yes, sir. I'm a Christian, 1,000%. That's how I live.
Well, there you go. There you go. You got it.
And that's why I ask these questions, because I can't even fathom from my perspective of how somebody of your caliber has gone through all these challenges. And it's a story that needs to be told and to be heard for everyone, especially myself, because in today's society, you've lived 84 years and God hasn't been done with you yet, but you've been able to share your perspective about quite a few things. And it's important that people hear it, especially for me, to understand that stay humble, because it's people like yourself who have pioneered the process to be able to pave the way from different types of adversities to be able to speak today of how you view life, not only for yourself, but for others as well.
Thank you. Ask me a question.
So, sir, coming back to Vietnam and seeing your wife and everything else, and you're going through this, nobody said hello, nobody give a crap. How was your life at that time, if you don't mind me asking, when you came back to stateside for the first couple?
I spent a year in Bethesda Hospital. I left home in 1965. I went to war in 1966. I came home in 1967, spent 1968 in the Naval Hospital, Bethesda, and I had a couple of years rest, and they sent me to Europe for a year, and then they sent me to Hawaii for 2 years, and when I came back, I had a break. Then they sent me to school for 6 months, and they gave me a rifle company for 2 years. And the world was on the brink of disaster, so they sent me to Force Recon. That would have been my third tour in Force Recon. And I did that. Then I decided to retire. I was tired. My body had been beat up, banged up. I had too many scars, too many memories, too many nightmares. And along the way, I lost my wife.
Wow.
I lost my son. I never remarried. I lived by myself. Young Josh is here now to give me a hand. But been a tough life for me. My son died in my arms. My wife died of cancer. They're both buried up in Arlington National Cemetery. I'll see him one day. God has promised me that. I'll see him soon. Not worried about it. God has him now. My son, who was blind, he's not blind anymore. He's not sick anymore. My wife doesn't have cancer anymore because God has them now. God says, I will reach out and I'll take care of your son. You don't have to worry about him now. My wife doesn't have cancer anymore. So even though I live alone, I know God has promised me that I'll see him again. So when young men like you come across and ask me questions, I'm doing this only because your friend Josh asked me to do this. You have no idea what I went through. No idea the sadness and sometimes the shame that I went through. But
may I say something, sir? I didn't want to have this type of conversation for you to relive it. I think that it's an honor for you to be able to have this conversation, because the world needs to know, people like yourself, of the major sacrifices you've given, especially now. You've been able to sustain and maintain a lot of things based on faith and your perception and wisdom because of your age and of what you've seen in your life. So I believe that we owe it to you and for others, for them to hear you out, not just to to glorify it, but for people to understand that freedom's never free. You know, that's the
Are
way
you
I look.
lecturing me on freedom before you go any further? You don't give me a lecture on freedom?
Negative, sir.
I
don't
didn't
want
think you would do that.
negative.
I talked to you about my wife and my child because I thought you needed to know. I met her when I was 15 years old. I was married 50 years to the same woman. And
Wow.
God called him home. He's about to call me home now. I'm 84 years old. I've lived a long life. There's been years I wasn't worth a damn. I've killed people that needed to be killed, and they tried to kill me. Unfortunately, they missed, and I survived. I've killed hundreds of enemy soldiers. That is something that I guess the country needed to know. As you said, you told me that freedom was not free. What the hell are you thinking about? You're telling a guy like me that freedom is not free. Hell, I know that. I know freedom is not free. I spent 11 years overseas. Now, I know what you meant. You didn't mean any harm, but think about what you're saying to a guy like me. I hold 5 Purple Hearts. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So,
And the reason why I stated that.
Don't talk when I'm talking.
Yes, sir.
You got a question you want to ask me?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and ask it.
So the reason why I stated that is not for you directly; it's for other people to hear that, not the
Well,
question.
tell somebody else that. Don't tell me. Don't tell me that freedom is free. I volunteered to serve this country. I love this country. It's my country. But when you tell me in a podcast, oh, well, Major, freedom is free. What the hell are you thinking about? I already know that. I
No,
know
sir.
that. I volunteered. I sweated it out for all those years. And a young man like you get on whatever this podcast thing is and say, oh, well, did you know freedom is free?
Sir, can I say
I
something?
know that. Now you
Sir,
keep interrupting me. You keep interrupting me. Do you want me to talk or you want to talk?
no, sir.
Let's get
Go
it straight.
ahead,
I
sir.
want to know what kind of questions you want to ask me.
Sure, sir. And may I ask you a question, sir?
You may.
So to reiterate, I was mentioning that freedom isn't free for the individuals who are watching this, not to you. It was never to insult you.
Well, you did, but go ahead.
So I just wanted to clarify that, and I apologize if I did something wrong. But the question also is that did you only have one son at that time, sir?
Yes. Yes.
And may I ask how old was he at that time when he passed away?
He was 40.
So
40 years old. He died of appendicitis at the Naval Hospital because they misdiagnosed him. They misdiagnosed him. They let him die. In America, that I fought for, in the Naval Hospital. But you know what? I sued the federal government and I won the case. I told them that my son should not have died of appendicitis. It took me 6 years to get a date in court, federal court. But I sweated it out. By that time, my wife had passed of cancer. But I sweated it out, thought about blowing up the damn hospital. Didn't do that. God stepped in and said no. Could have done it. They were fooling with the most dangerous person they had over there. I was speaking as a father and as a husband, not as an angry man, but I got angry when they told me that my son was okay and he died in my arms. Now, those are kind of things that I grieve about today, but I did the right thing. I wasn't all consumed by anger. I filed a lawsuit for wrongful death. It took me 6 years, all the money I had. I went broke trying to pay lawyers, but I won the case. The federal judge says they made a mistake and they should pay for it. They paid me a lot of money. Hell, I didn't need the money. My wife and my child was gone, but at least I had the satisfaction of saying that the Naval Hospital here at Camp Lejeune had erred. And so the judge ruled in my favor. That was some satisfaction, but it didn't bring my wife or my son back. That's part of my personal life. As I said, my son was blind, special needs, but he's in heaven now. He's no longer blind, and my wife is no longer had the cancer. They're waiting for me. And God has promised me I'll see them again. Now I live by myself. Josh is here to help me out, never remarried. I was married for 50 years. And my wife stood with me for all those years, followed me around the Marine Corps, patched me up when I come home, shot up. That was my life there. And there were a lot of times when nobody gave a damn about Major Capers. But it's better now. Better for the country. We got some issues. You watch TV, you don't need to talk to me. You know the things that are going on in the world. But you know something, son? We're survivors. Nobody can defeat this country. I believe in that. And that's why I spent 11 years overseas trying to secure freedom for this country. I'm not worried. There are folks who are saying that, well, we're going to lose the democracy, we're going to lose the country. Hell no. Hell no. We're not going to lose anything. We get banged up once in a while, but this is our country. We work hard. We bled for this country. They might blow up our buildings or whatever it is, but we're going to survive. And I will tell your listeners out there, don't worry. We're going to be okay, and we'll fight through whatever we need to fight through.
Thank you, sir. So it's a privilege to have you here because it's important for somebody of your caliber so people can listen, because people have a different perception, as you corrected me before. And it's a reality check for someone like yourself to tell us the way it is and how you view things, because we're so distorted. I'm not going to go into semantics of what's going on, but I find it as an honor to be able to have this moment because you're a private man and you value your privacy and you value your spirituality of who you are and what you believe in. So I totally respect that. And that's why for today's audience, they need to hear someone of you with all this wisdom to be able to bring things into perspective with clarity and sincerity. So my other question with you is this: do you have any siblings, sir?
No, I'm sailing alone now. Everybody's gone. They're gone now. But I'm okay. I live alone, and I've got this young raider here who's taking care of me. But I'm okay. God lives in my heart. He lives in my heart. I don't worry anymore.
May I ask you another question, sir?
Yeah, that's what we're doing, son. You asking me questions.
Where were you born at? Or where were you originally born at, sir?
I was born in Bishopville, South Carolina. And last year or a year ago, they honored me. They brought me home, named the street after me. They erected a statue, and had a parade for me. Major Capers came home. I didn't grow up there. I was born there. But my father did time in the chain gang for a crime he didn't commit. And my family had to leave South Carolina and go to Maryland, a little bit easier up there at that time. But they asked me to come back. I didn't go back as a slave. I went back as a free man. And they erected a statue for me, had a street for me, had a parade for me. They showed that everybody's not bad. And I'm an 84-year-old man. I'm turning 85 this year. So I'm saying that people, I've seen this change. Everybody's not biased. Some people are, but if we stay with it, this country is going to be free for everybody, not just guys look like you and me. But it was good going home. Had a great time, and people said some nice things because I wasn't allowed to hear the nice things when I was a child. I learned cotton, crop tobacco, plow the fields, and didn't get paid for it. Wasn't slavery, but it was pretty close. But now I can eat in any restaurant I want to eat in. I don't have to go in the back door anymore. I don't have to sit in the back of the bus. I don't have to go to the water fountain that said Negroes only. I can drink wherever I want to drink. I can eat wherever I want to drink because this country said it's time to knock off all this BS. So guys like me who were born in the South and had the tough times, look at me now. I can go to any restaurant I want to go to and eat. Nobody questions me. Or I can ride on any bus. But those that's all right. I love dogs.
Yeah.
Your dog, don't be sorry. That's all right. You're doing what you're supposed to. Any rate, I appreciate the progress this country has made. I'm not a politician. I'm just saying what I saw, as a black man in this country and as a black man in the Marine Corps. But one thing I want to say is that at one time you said that you were a admin guy. That when you?
Yes, sir. That's that was my MOS. I was a.
Let me finish. You said that almost like you were apologizing for being an admin guy. Do you know some of the bravest men I knew were called Rough Riders? They were admin guys at Quezon. When Quezon got almost overrun, couldn't get blood plasma in, couldn't get the dead and wounded out, couldn't get morphine in. And there were some admin guys 30 miles south in a place called Dung Ha. You know what they did? Those cooks and bakers and mechanics, they got together and got on those 6-bys and they fought their way all the way to Quezon. All of the grunts didn't save Quezon. It was those Rough Riders who came in and brought the ammunition, brought the food, brought the morphine, brought the blood plasma. When the planes couldn't fly because of the monsoons. So I honor you guys. I honor you guys. A lot of mothers and children got benefits because the admin guys stayed and worked over, and so the SRBs could be correct. I saw that. I commanded that. I was there when those Rough Riders come into Quezon. They were blowing their horns. The lights was on. They were blowing their horns. We're here. We're going to save the grunts. And they did that. It was such a wonderful sight to see because we were in trouble. The news media probably never said that. We're about ready to lose Quezon. And those guys came in, also what they did, young admin guy, they got in the foxholes and fought on the line at night with the grunts. And then they went back to Dung Ha and got another supply and came back. And some of the 6-bys were blown up on the road. They'd push them aside and bring up other food and ammunition. Admin guys, don't apologize for that, son. You're good. You're good. And I appreciate it. I'm just telling you what I saw during the times when it was prevalent. And it was a miracle. We don't talk about them, the cooks and the bakers, but the mechanics and all that. But they were Marines. You wore the globe and anchor, and I appreciate that, what you did and your heritage. And it had been for guys like you, we wouldn't have made it out of Quezon. There's no way. There was 2 divisions fighting against us in the mountains that we had surrounded. And Denby and Food not too far, the French gave up. They gave up. They lost it there. But one thing, we've never lost a battle. We signed some peace treaties, but we don't lose things. That's not in our nature. I never lost a battle. Got banged up. Never lost a man captured because we fought. And we fought as a team. And mechanics, cooks, bakers, they're all part of that team. That's who we are. We fight, we eat, we sleep. If necessary, we die as a team. That's who we are. That's who we are. You're sitting there tonight asking me a lot of questions, and I'm only sitting there because of Josh. But you go ahead.
I appreciate it.
You go ahead.
As I stated, sir, I appreciate it, and I appreciate Josh. I think as now, I think I feel that it needs to be said because you don't know me and I don't know you, but I have a lot of admiration and respect for you, and I feel that that needs to be said. And I don't apologize for what I do, but I want to be able to share stories like this for people to understand that it's people like you that make a difference in the world. That's why I put that out there, sir.
I appreciate that. Let me tell you about a guy named Nathan Hale. You probably read about him somewhere along the line. I didn't know him, but he was a pretty important person in terms of how we make our decisions. You know, he was one of those guys that came along and did what he thought was right. But when the time comes for him to make a decision, that person that I think about a lot, Nathan Hale, British captured him. Okay, they captured him. Good old Nathan. He tried hard, but they got him and they put him up on a scaffold. And they said, Nathan, you swear allegiance to the crown. Okay? And, you know, we might even give you a commission in the Royal Army. But now, if you don't, we're going to hang you. They had him up on the scaffold. And they put the rope around his neck. Nathan stood there and he thought about his life, his future of this country. Would he make a difference? Going on his mind, this rope is tightening around his neck. They offered him a way out. You know, Nathan, you don't have to die. We'll give you a commission in the Royal Army. Swear your allegiance to the crown. No, when I think about it, what he was thinking about, maybe when the guys went ashore in Iwo Jima, guys went ashore in Guadalcanal and Tara, fought their way through. He's thinking, maybe it's not bad, but you know what he said when they said, you can tell us what you are thinking. And you know what he said, written in history, I have only one regret. And how can you say that at a time like this? The rope is around your neck. And you can hear the gunshots a mile away. He said, I have only one regret. Damn it. I have but one life to give for my country. Did you hear me? I have one life. I regret that I got only one life to give for my country. And he threw the rope back at him. And they took the rope and dropped the scaffold and hung him. That's what they did to Nathan Hale. But the war went on because there were a lot of like Nathan Hale. And that's why we have a country today. They hung him because he said he had only one regret. I can only give one life for this country. I read about this in history books. I believe in it. Kind of scares me a little bit because I wondered if I could do that. When the rope is around my neck, can I do that? We honor men like this. We're now into what, 22 now. And I was born in 37. I watched men die and suffer. I've caused men to die, and I kill them with malice because they killed friends of mine. They killed our allies. They laughed about it, but they sent in Jim Capers. And my job was to kill as many as I could and write down the numbers that we killed. Then I mourned and cried for the Marines that we lost in those battles. We lost 550,000 Wasn't 500, it was 55,000. I forget the numbers now.
No,
All those men volunteered for this country, just like Nathan Hale. You should be doing a podcast with good old Nathan. What would Nathan be saying today? But anyway, I'm just jerking your chain. Go ahead. What else you got?
well, through your whole 85 years of living, sir, and understanding racism and coming from the South, I truly respect and admire that, because as a kid growing up in the 60s, respecting Martin Luther King and not understanding the severity of it, how do you view society today after going through all of these changes?
Well, I answered it. I don't know if you listened or not, but I lost my wife and my son along the way. My son died of appendicitis. Well, they didn't get it right. They gave me a bunch of money. Maybe if he wasn't a black kid, might have been different. I heard those stories, but I'm talking as a father, as a husband. It wasn't so much the times that we lived in. I know what happened in those days. I was born in 1937. I'm old enough to be probably father or grandfather. So the times that has changed. I've watched the riots in the streets. I saw the things that we see on the news every day, but now I don't dwell on it. I do understand it, and that's another subject. I can talk to you about politics or whatever I want to, but I understand, the demands of a people who don't feel they're free. And that just doesn't go to African Americans. We got some of our brothers and sisters I saw a young lady today when I was at the hospital who was pregnant. And she was born, where was she born in, son? The lady I told you was pregnant today. She was born in, I don't know, I can't recall now. But her child, she wasn't born here, but her child would be born in the United States of America. He will be a citizen. He won't be born in a slavery like some of my great grandfathers, mothers. He's going to be a citizen. And she was born, I don't remember exactly where, but she was there to prepare for her pregnancy. What a proud thing to see those young people who come to this country and they're citizens. Their children will be citizens. They'll have everything, all the benefits that everybody else have. They'll be able to vote. They'll be able to go to school and be educated. And it won't matter if they're rich or poor. So when I see young men and women coming here from different places and to enjoy all the freedoms that you and I fought for, warms my heart. Have that child enjoy all the freedoms. And I look at her as a pregnant young lady who's got a child that's going to be born in the greatest country in the world. We feed more people. We protect more people. The greatest country has ever lived. And we're going to keep it going. We don't care that people say, oh, gee, our democracy is, no, it's not. The Germans started that kind of stuff. Excuse me.
Bless you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, sir.
Go ahead.
As a man of faith, how has your relationship with God has helped you strengthen you to get to this point in your life?
Well, I was talking to my pastor the other day. I had two of them come see me, pray with me. And I was telling them when I was in Quezon, pretty nasty place, lost some good men up there. And we got hit one night. And when they start coming in, they blow those whistles and those drums, and they start yelling, Marines, you die. You die. Marines, you son of a bitch. They didn't pronounce it very well, but they were trying to curse us out. We knew what they meant. And they would come to our barbed wire and they would blow themselves up. Then somebody else would come over them and rush right through, yelling and screaming, hopped up on opium and whatever. Okay. But our Marines was there in those foxholes, and they would say, okay, blankety blank, come and get us. We're not going anywhere. You're not going to take this piece of ground from us. We are Marines. You're not getting through here. They used entrenching tools and fought hand to hand with pistols because the long guns, the rifles, you had a chance of shooting each other at night when they're dropping flares down, and you got to be able to see who's there. But they won. But one night, long battle, I was an officer then. I was an officer by the time I got to Quezon. Wasn't really an officer. I didn't go to OCS or basic school. I was one of those guys that survived, and they made me a second lieutenant in about 5 minutes. So I'm in charge now. And I remember that night when a lot of bodies laying around. This young lady we thought was dead rose up and handed me a baby. Didn't understand what she said, but then she fell back down. I guess she was holding on to the baby, trying to lay on top of it, but handed it to me, little child. I took the baby and I run down to the aid station. There were flares coming down and stuff happening. And I made it there, and I handed the baby to whoever was there. But the baby had died on my way there. His little fingers was holding on to my arms. I laid the baby there, and the baby was gone. Hole in his chest. I could feel the blood flowing from that body to mine. Couldn't help him. Came back out, went a few feet, and kneeled down. I looked up in the sky, and I said, God, I need you now. I'm in charge. I'm an officer, but I'm weak now. I need some help. Show me that God is there. Hit me with a bolt of lightning. Do something. God, I need help. I can't do this anymore. I'm praying on my knees. I had my rifle down beside me, but I'm praying. And I didn't hear a thing. The skies didn't open up. God didn't say, my child, nothing of encouragement. I said, God, I need help. Do you hear me? Nothing was said. I picked up my rifle and went back to the battle. And 3 months later, they pulled us out of Quezon and they sent me back to Fubai, which is one of our bases that a little bit further south. Wasn't as much action. Went back to Fubai, and then we were told that my time was pretty much up and we are going to be sent home. A lot of the guys didn't make it, but Jim Capers is alive now, and they're talking about sending me home. I've done my duty. Well, but there was a problem in a place called Fulak, which is a little bit west of Way City, which turned out to be a pretty bad place there. So we're going to Fulak, and we're going to help the grunts there. I've been there for about a year now. My time was up, and we're about ready to go home. But they said, we got one more mission for you. Just do this for us now. Go one more time. Let's go one more time into this dark night. Team Broad-Minded, who battle and wave 4 amphibious landings in Fubai, Quezon, all those places we fought in. Lost some men along the way, and we got some replacement who fought with valor, as if they were original members of Team Broad-Minded. They said, "We'll go. I'm an officer now." I said, "Wasn't really an officer. I was just carrying the load," because we lost all 3 officers killed. All 3 of them, good men, valiant men, brave men, but they're gone now. They had been to OCS and basic school. They had all of the training, had college educations, but they're now gone. And I'm asked to fill in for them. There's no way I could fill in for them. They were brave men, honorable men. They gave everything they had, and I felt guilty because I knew I was never going to replace those guys. But here I am. I went to Fulop, fought for 4 days. Violent. Every man was wounded. My war dog was killed right in front of me. Nick had lost a leg, and one of my men lost a kidney, and everybody was shot up. But here we are, surrounded. But then I made a decision to drop everything on my position. We could fight, but we weren't going to survive. We weren't going to be taken prisoner. So I gave the order to drop whatever you got on my position. Here it is right here. Here's where I'm at. You won't capture us. You won't outfight us. But they gave us 100 meters grace, which was good. Artillerymen do that. And they didn't drop it on us. They dropped it 100 meters. Give us break. So we survived. Fought our way down to the helicopter landing zone. They come in and landed, and we fought our way down to the chopper. Got the dog's body, all my men, all wounded, bleeding. I'm trying to get them home now. I told the pilot to take off. I'll stay on the ground. No heroics, but get my men out of here. I'll stay here. They got the helicopter aboard, about 6 feet, and it crashed. So I'm thinking that this is the way it's going to go. You think about those things in combat. But we all got on the helicopter. The crew chief pulled me on and took off through the mountains. We started going toward the aid station, which I don't remember how far it was. But all my men were saying, "Lieutenant, how far?" I'm hurt, Lieutenant. We got to get out of here. I'm listening to them. They've given everything they had now. But the chopper couldn't fly anymore. Pilot was wounded. Run out of gas. But as we started going down, as we were approaching the aid station, the helicopter lost power and was going down to the ground. I saw the ground coming up. I saw blood flying out of the helicopter. I was on this helicopter. I could see the ground coming up. But then God said, "I have you." And he reached out his hand. God reached out his hand and grabbed that helicopter and flew the helicopter. Had no gas, no pilot that could fly. When I think back, when I asked God, was he listening? God said then, when he reached out his mighty hand and held that helicopter, he said, "I heard you, son. I wasn't asleep. I heard you. And I'm showing you I am God. I am the Almighty God. I love all of my children. I'm taking you home now." And the helicopter crashed in the yard of the A Medical Center. Everybody lived. Blood was all over the place. It's a long story. We all survived. I survived. All of my men survived. But today, there's only 4 of us alive. Team Broad-Minded has succumbed to, I guess, the moving time. Heroes all. but they will board their helicopter with me. And I'm here now, but what I'm telling you is that God saved us. Saved me. Had it not been for that, I wouldn't be here to talk to you today. My God, reached up and grabbed it, shook that helicopter, said, I don't need any gas. I can fly this helicopter. I heard you when you were in Quezon. I was listening. I'm not asleep. I'm your God. So he asked me about my faith. I saw that faith. I witnessed that faith. When my son was dying in the hospital, I got on my knees and I prayed. God, take me, but don't take my only child. God didn't answer me that time. He took my son. He's home now. But then again, my son's no longer blind. But in the way he answered my prayers then, my son's in heaven now with his mother. Is waiting on me. Clock is ticking. But I'm not worrying about anything. I know I'll see him again. God has promised me that. He didn't answer me that day, but he answers me every time I pray, and he does things when he wants them done, not when Jim Capers wants them done.
I have another question for you, sir.
Go ahead.
How did you meet your wife at 15 years old? When did you know it was the one?
Well, back in my day, black and white students didn't go to school together. That was all separated. All the blacks went to school, and then they finally integrated where you could go to school with each other. But I met my wife when I was walking by one day. I know I was going probably to the gym somewhere, and I saw her. She had on a light blue dress, prettiest thing I'd ever seen. I said, "Oh my God!" And for years, I told her I thought she winked at me. But I saw her, I noticed her, and I went home that day and told my mama, "Ma, guess what?" And she said, "It's going to be okay, son. It's going to be okay." And on occasion, the school would have all black now. They have girls come into the school that where the boys were.
Mm-hmm.
So I would see her on occasion, and I think the preachers sort of played a joke on us. They knew I kind of liked her, so they would send her down to my class to do something. And all the guys would say, "Hey, Jim, there she is, there she is." They'd kid me about it. But I loved it. Loved her the first time I ever saw her. And when she closed her eyes and went on to heaven, I was holding her hand. We've been married 50 years. 50 years. We renewed our vows a week before she passed away. I called a pastor in, and we did it all over again. Such a wonderful woman, brave. I was just telling Josh at my house, a snake bit my wife out by my fish pond.
Oh.
She didn't cry. She just said, "I've been bit by a snake." Damn it. What a brave woman. We rushed down to this hospital we were at today. And unfortunately, it was not a poisonous snake.
Mm.
But I rushed her down there, and what she said to me, if I'd have had my stick, he'd have never got me. That's Dottie Capers. If I'd have had my stick. But I loved her. When I met her young, we had a great life. Followed me around the Marine Corps. We had a wonderful son, but now she's gone now. I still write to her. Yeah, I still write to her. I can't mail letters, but I tell her what's going on. I got a wonderful young man named Josh who lives with me, helps take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
I never remarried, but I want her to know how much I love her. I did go to Arlington last year to put some flowers on her and my son's grave. I love her so much. That's one reason I'm still single. She's been gone over 12 years now. And so I've tried to date, whatever, but Dottie's waiting for me. She's waiting for me. But at any rate, How did I meet her? In high school.
Mm-hmm.
And after high school, she went on to Morgan State College, and I went on to the Marine Corps and went to Paris Island. 3 years I did in the Marine Corps, and my time was up. They said, you can get out now, stay in. I figured, well, I had nothing really going as a young teenager, black guy. There wasn't a lot of options. So I figured, let me stay in the Marine Corps. I'm doing pretty good. I made sergeant pretty early because of the war in Lebanon in 1958. I made sergeant. But anyway, I decided to re-enlist, and she said she'd go with me. We married and went to California, Pendleton. I got into special operations. Became Force Recon, which was the tough guys back in those days. And I enjoyed that. We had a wonderful child and lived a good life. But now she's gone. So talk about something else.
Okay, sir. So now that you're living a life back in the East Coast and you have someone like Josh to be helping you out, what's the most valuable thing at this point in your life that, in all due respect to you, I know you're still in love with your wife and you love your child, your son, and you're a man of faith, and there's things that you have zero tolerance. But at this point in your life, with everything that's going on, how do you view yourself just going on a daily basis? You have pastors coming in, you pray.
Mm-hmm.
I know you still have a purpose, right?
I hope so. I hope God didn't got a sense of humor. He just playing a joke on me. No, I think I was trying to be funny. It didn't work, huh?
You're funny.
No, I've got a purpose. I got a young man here who's got a child. He's young. He's in his mid-30s. I got shoes that old. And he's been treated wrongly. Wrinkles in a great apology.
Mm-hmm.
He bears some responsibility, I guess, but what they're saying is not right. I've talked to this young man. He's been like a son to me, and the others also. 3 of them accused of manslaughter. And I talked to their commanding general, General Glenn, who was the commander at that time, and I asked him, you need to drop this stuff. The country don't want you to punish Marine Corps. We don't need a Marine Corps. The country wants a Marine Corps. And they want to protect our young men who, I don't know how many times Josh has been to Iraq and Afghanistan. He's left his wife and his child back home to do those duties. As a Marine Raider, it's kind of something special. I was made a Marine Raider some years ago, honorary, because of my color, I wouldn't have been able to join the Raiders. They went away in 1942. Mm-hmm. But to be a Raider is an honor. And my God, those guys did an incredible job there, my heroes. But then again, they're telling me now that these type of things, they want to court-martial them. It's been going on for almost 3 years now. Yeah. What about them? This country owes them something. They're warriors, they're heroes, they're American citizens. And this has been going on. What about their wives? What about their children? And what about, their well-being? We owe them something. Less than 1% serve in this country's military. And these guys served, and now you want to say these things about them? I say they can kiss my ass. That's what I say.
I have another question for you, sir. I know you don't watch the news, but here's an ironic thing. You have standards, and Commandant of the Marine Corps was talking about the Marine Corps going technical, and that, hey, if there's someone that's equivalent to a gunny, and he said he wouldn't have to go to boot camp, and he'd be able to join the Marine Corps. Now, this is real conversation.
I'm sorry, say that again.
There is news this last year, sir, stating that the commandant of the Marine Corps was thinking about making the Marine Corps as technical as Space Force, and since stating that someone with the high technical skills of equivalent to a gunny, an E7, would sign up, join up, and not go to boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I've spoken to quite a few senior staff NCOs and everything, and they said this is outrageous. But even a talk about that would even change the dynamics of the Marine Corps. And when I listen to your story, it's people like myself that actually value the standards of why is it that we're going that route. You know, I have a purpose as well to be able to share information, to bring things up, but at the same time be mentored by people like yourself to be able to learn and be corrected and understand. There's different times, son, that you need to understand because you weren't around when I was living at that time. So you need to be formally educated. You know?
Well, you asked me a question.
Yes, sir.
Your question, did I agree with the commandant decision, which he didn't make a decision? It's not going to happen. We're not going to do that. Country's never done that. Even back in the days of the Romans, they never did that either. I like Dave Berger, good man. Excuse me.
Sure, sir.
I've got a little bit of a cold these days, but I'll get over it. Mm-hmm. My son, the doctor over here, Josh, he's been giving me all kind of stuff. Even cough syrup and pills and everything. But at any rate, no, I think Berger's made a mistake if he's considering that. He's got a staff. He's got a whole bunch of people to give him ideas and everything. He's really a nice guy, not overly bright, but he's a good guy. He's been a recon officer. He's got 4 stars now, and he recommended me for the Medal of Honor, Congressional Medal of Honor. And I'm grateful. I hope I live to get it. May not be. I don't know. But at any rate, training our youngsters to become warriors or serve for larger course, or the Greeks did it, the Romans did it. You can't make somebody a tech sergeant in an organization like this without going through the boot camp, the rite of passage. You have to do that. They have to be tested. They have to be tested. And they got to be willing to fight, not necessarily want to fight. In World War II, they drafted thousands and thousands of men. The Germans did, the Japanese did. All of them had some place they went to become men, and some were men. We had guys coming in 15, 16 years old then. A lot of them lied by their age and whatever.
Go ahead, sir. Go for it.
I can't tell Malcolm up. But at any rate, no, I think they got it wrong there. I think they would probably need to rethink that, because you need to have somebody tell you you're not that good. Mm-hmm. And it's a team effort. That's what you learn basically in boot camp. You learn to accept others as your brothers, and you're willing to lay down your life for that individual. And that individual becomes your friend for life. I just lost a friend of mine the other day. He was a young general. He used to work for me years ago. He's a lot smarter than I was. His name is General Rollins, Wayne Rollins. Good man, won a Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 2 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, a real hero. We lost him 2 days ago. He relieved me as a captain when I was a major, and he became commanding officer of Force Recon. But we lived next door to each other. I knew his children. They knew my son. This is something that's in us. We're Marines. We take this stuff seriously. This global anchor thing is pretty serious. And all around the world, we're respected. When I was in Plymouth, England, I was there for whatever reason it was, and the women at social things would come up and curtsy to a Marine. So they respected us so much. I wasn't used to all this courtesy stuff, but they'd come up and say nice things. Number one, because they had never seen a black officer like me. This was 1970 or somewhere along there, and I was detailed there, and I attended the usual, officer stuff. Keep in mind, I wasn't really an officer. I didn't go through all that training, etiquette, and all that. I knew I had manners, but when I got there in this Marine Corps uniform, everybody respected me. Didn't matter what color I was. Nobody mentioned that. But I had the Purple Heart, which meant I shed blood for this country. And this is what they said. This Yank shed blood for his country. We'll salute him. And the women curtsied me. I felt good about it, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But with respect to all the other stuff, we can talk about that all night long.
Well, the other thing that I want to ask for you, one more question for you, because I know your time is precious.
I'm not tired.
No, I said your time is precious, sir. It's with everything that's going on, and you treating Josh and these others as your sons. Does it give you?
Josh is treating me. I'm kind of sick now. He's the one attending me. I'm not treating him. He's treating me.
Well, Josh and me talked, and he told me that you were sick. I gave him some ideas also to help you.
Oh boy,
give some ideas as well. And we're saying, beef broth is good, but we need to give you something else and help you because this COVID crap is falling all over the place. And it's important. But what is your true definition of leadership, sir?
Leadership.
Yes, sir.
I've written a book. Did you ever read my book, Faith to the Storm?
No, I will get it, sir. Trust me, I will get it.
Well, you didn't ask my question. I asked you read the book.
No, sir.
And all you got to do is say yes or no. No BS. I'm going to read it. I intended to read it. But leadership, you see a lot of it in there. I could talk to you all night about leadership. I taught leadership. I was an instructor at the leadership school in Hawaii when I got a 2-year break. So I taught leadership every day to staff NCOs, NCOs, and I taught it from the general wanted me to talk about what I saw. And so I taught different groups. Of course, I had different perspectives, and there's some I hit them pretty hard, and there's some I just let them have a little bit of a Jim Capers, who was a father and a husband. But leadership and a lot of different dynamics there, son. I can give you some bullshit answers.
We've been talking for a while, sir. There's no bullshit. Last question. Standards. Yeah. Your standards, sir. What do the standards mean for you?
My standards for me?
Standards for you, and how do you identify standards for individuals?
You're a funny young man. I just told you I'm up for the Congressional Medal of Honor. Did you hear that part?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. You know what that means?
Yeah, you get the highest award of anything in the United States.
That's probably going to happen. I don't have a word yet, but the congressman has told me that's what's going to happen. Whether I earned it or not, they seem to think I do. They gave 3 young Marines, Army guys, rather, a Medal of Honor a couple of weeks ago. And I'm on the list now. I'll be the next one to get one. So let me speak. Excuse me.
Bless you, sir. Bless
Thank you. But at any rate, standards. I never lost a battle. I would never surrender. And I thought I was one of the meanest son of a bitches on this earth. I was trained to feel that way. I would fight you because the Marine Corps said I had to fight you, and I never feared any man that God put on this earth. I'll never bend my back or then my knees will bow my head for anybody. Those are my standards. And they will test it though. And doing training, let me run through this real quick. They put me in a casket and close it up. Going through the recon stuff there, they go crazy with your training there, especially in the old days, because they want to make sure you didn't give up. Because a lot of our guys gave up in the Korean War, and so they come up with a code of conduct.
Mhm.
There were certain things you're supposed to do, certain things you weren't going to do. And so they put me in this casket and asked me my company commander's name. It was a corporal. I said, Corporal J. Capers, 1605728. Still remember my enlisted service number. And they told me that if you don't give me your company commander's name, you're going to die in this casket here. There's a little small casket and getting a little tight in there. Said, we'll give you one more chance. And I said 1605728. Because I'm taught not to give up anything but your name, rank, and serial number. That was part of the code of conduct that come up after with the Korean War, when so many guys told everything they knew, told their mama's name, their grandmama's name. So they come up with a code of conduct, and they told all of us, that's all you give to the enemy. But now I'm being challenged. My personal ethics had almost gone out the window. I wasn't scared, but this casket was not much. They planned it that way. There wasn't much air in there. But you know what I did when I was in this casket? I decided I'd build a house. I'm shut in. I laid there. They let me give you a room, put your hands across your stomach or chest, like you weren't gonna get out of there. So where they gonna bury your ass, But I started building a house, starting from the ground up. Figured that that'll keep me going for a while. I built me a first floor, a second floor. I put some windows in it. I'm not a carpenter, but I'm just imagine I'm doing these things. When I got to the third floor, but at that time when I was building that house, I wasn't in that casket. God had taken me out of that casket and had me building this house. So I'm saying his house. But I was okay until they came back and opened the cabinet. And you know what I said?
What's up?
Where the hell have you guys been? I've been waiting for you. That's what I said. I was lying because I really wanted to get out of there. But a little bit of bravado. I built that house. It's something similar to the house I got in now. I'm living in now. Been here 43 years. My wife and I built it. She's not here now. My child is gone. But there are memories that I had from that casket. And I survived that. They weren't really going to kill me. I know that. But you never know when you're in a situation like that. But at any rate, that's the type of person I was. Go ahead.
Well, sir, that's all I got to say. I want to thank you for taking the time.
Thank
and
you.
And I really appreciate it. You've educated me and steered me in the right direction based on your candor and your perception. And I haven't been spoken to that in that tone since I was a kid, but it's refreshing because we need it.
Well, when you're talking to an 84-year-old man, you pretty much are a kid to me, But Josh is telling me you're such a hero, you're such a nice guy, and he was in it today. Are you sure you're going to do this podcast? I said, I gave him a word, but I've been sick.
You know that,
But
sir.
you come on and ask me some dumbass questions. I was about ready to say, Josh, turn this thing off. But I didn't.
No.
Because I kind of like you. You're a nice young guy. You're a warrior. And I'll see you again. You probably get on my nerves again somewhere along the line. But I'm looking forward to meeting you somewhere along the line. I wish you success everything you're doing. And you can call on me anytime.
Well, I appreciate it, sir.
You're welcome, son. You're welcome.
I appreciate establishing the battlegrounds because I was having a deja vu of a father and son talk where the father was reprimanding and he was gonna,
Josh gets that every day. He gets it every day, so he's used to it.
I was like, I was getting that feeling that he's gonna turn this off. He's gonna curse me out here asking me these stupid questions. And
No. We all father sons.
Yeah.
The commandant some years ago said, you have to treat your men as a son, father, son. Team Broad-Minded was my sons. I mourn when I lost one. I still mourn them. When I hear about, they're not really mine, but they're sometimes the children. Matter of fact, a young man called me today. He was a son of one of my troops. And he called me to ask about whether he should go to law school. He's not a father anymore. So he calls me. He calls me. And I honor that because I know what his father would have told him. I'm trying to tell you guys, I know you've got a father, and do you have a father alive?
I have a father alive, but I don't have a relationship, sir.
Well, you got one now. You got a father right now. So, call me once in a while, and we'll talk. If you need anything that I can help you with, and maybe sometime you ought to come visit the old man. I'm going to be 85 this year.
We planning on going to the East Coast, sir. So that's something that we're talking about. We haven't been back since 2018. But to your point, I appreciate you accepting me as your son because guys like us that don't have a father figure, we've strayed and circled back and we've learned, but we appreciate someone who is like a father figure that can correct the mistakes or steer you in the right way because you have wisdom. You've seen stupid stuff, play stupid games and win stupid prizes,
Yeah, been through a lot, son. Heart's been broken. I've seen dead men lying in battlefields and broke my heart. When I come home, I was not the same man. They declared me to be insane. Too much combat. They locked me in a room, had me putting blocks together, drawing pictures to see if I would ever going to regain my sanity. They sent me there to kill men. And I did that. But when I come home, they flew me from Japan to Alaska, and from Alaska to Virginia. When I got home in Virginia, I was lying on the tarmac, and this son of a bitch walked up to me and pissed on me. Wow. That's what he did to me. After all the hell I'd been through, I'm lying there with 19 holes in me. The son of a bitch pissed on me and walked away. Nobody said hello. Nobody said congratulations. Nobody said thanks for your service. They do that now. Oh, thanks for your service. Where were they that night? Where were they that night when I lied there in pain? But that's when the demons come home. The demons on my shoulder saying, oh, you're going to get him one of these days. You'll find him. But God stepped in and says, no, you don't need that. I'll take care of that. I'll make you rise up. I'll give you more blood. I'll heal your broken bones. I'll heal your broken heart. You're home now because I brought you home. Remember me? I'm the one that flew that helicopter. Don't listen to the demons. I brought you home.
That's a great story, sir. So we're going to stay in touch, and I got to do this announcement. If you like this segment of LinkedIn Live, as far as LinkedIn perspective and Facebook perspective, share it, like it, tag it. We had a special guest today, the Honorable, the one and only, the legendary Major James Capers. One has been able to survive multiple wounds in combat, and is a legacy, is a legend in the Marine Corps. Sir, I want to personally thank you Thank you for your time. I want to thank Josh. I'm going to log off here. Stand by, sir. I'm just going to talk for you for about a second. If you like the segment, tag it, share it. And LinkedIn Perspective, thank you for LinkedIn to be able to create this broadcast to reach out to the masses. And thank you, sir, for your first time on social media. Stand by, sir.